Thanks for staying with us on the program this morning on ITV, the special edition of the program. Today is Easter Monday. Once again, happy Easter Monday. Now we are moving on to another segment of discussion where we'll be looking at the National Assembly leadership, the JOSTLE, who takes the lead in the Senate and the House of Representatives, and the matters arising. There are a number of persons who have indicated interest of becoming the Senate President and also the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But there are also issues coming up around this. There are matters arising from this. Some are for zoning, some are saying no, it should be left open. And to do justice to this matter, I have two gentlemen in the studio. These personalities, I have my close to me here, Anderson Osiebe. He is the National Coordinator Parliamentary Advocacy Network. You're welcome to the program. I also have a very interesting personality in Kim Anyata Lafia. You're welcome, sir, publisher and media content provider. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam.
All right, looking at the 10th Assembly, it's going to be very, very interesting. Let me start in Kim. What is your make-out of the struggle for the leadership of the National Assembly?
Well, let me say that it's quite usual at times like this, especially when people who are returning to the National Assembly having had stints, maybe 1, 2, 3, and even it will interest you to know that some have been there in the last 23, 4, going to 24 years. So it's not unusual to have such ideas for somebody who has been there to want to go higher in what they've been doing in maybe in the last 8 years, in the last 16 years, in the last 20 years. And also it's not even unusual for people who are coming for the very first time, some of whom have had, stints with the state assemblies, some of whom have been commissioners, some of whom have been even governors at the level of the state, to want to lay a claim to leadership. It's quite interesting, but at the end of it all, we always think that the rules of parliament will take precedence. As like we're seeing some of the new members elect are saying, who are quite new, are saying that it's time we had a change in their setup, that some of the rules of the House or of the Senate ought to be changed to make room for some form of dynamism that should play up a lot of other factors, including individuals who are coming to make their own impression on the turf of lawmaking. So, by and large, to answer your question directly, you can't put it past changes. You can't put it past dynamism. You can't put it past the kind of robust engagement that Nigeria is known for, whether at the level of the media, the legislature, or even our politics generally. We are quite vibrant. And it will interest you to know that even grandmothers from the villages, they know what should obtain per time. They believe that, they know that in determining who becomes maybe a presiding officer in the National Assembly, religion has to play a part, ethnicity has to play a part, and other factors that, we consider our fault lines. But in this case, these are factors that will actually determine what becomes. And this is not saying anything about competence, character, and learning. So experience, to all of these things are going to come into play. The extent to which they are deployed to getting the required results or intended action will be what we from the outside will be looking at.
All right, I understand. We have seen some persons, even in the National Assembly, advocate zoning, while some are saying it should be left open. So let it be an all-comer. Everybody is free and vie for these positions. What's your take on that? To zone or not to zone?
Well, for me, I've always been an advocate for zoning. Reason being that for you to have regional spread, balancing in terms of power sharing. There's need for zoning, because if you continue to leave it open, you get to find out that it will end up in the hands of just a few regions in Nigeria. So for this, we've been championing this advocacy for zoning, because let me take a cue from Nkem. I agree that competence is key. When it comes to I agree. I quite agree very, very well. But let me also let you know that there's no region or zone in this country that doesn't have competent people, right? So that's why we say when you have this thing zoned to a particular region, then we can now go there and look for those who are competent. You cannot tell me that the whole of Southeast, or maybe South-South, or maybe Northwest don't have competent people in the National Assembly. They have returning members of the National Assembly. They have members elect who are returning. They have members elect who have been there for like 2, 3, 4 tenures. They are coming back with such experience. And when you talk about experience, you also talk about competence. You cannot talk about competence without talk about experience, that's not about competence. So now, that's why we are saying that, look, there is need for zoning. There is need for zoning. We have 6 geopolitical zones in this country. Now, two are gone. Southwest is gone.
Why is it gone?
It's gone because the Southwest has the president-elect.
Okay.
The Northeast has the vice president-elect.
So these two...
No, so these 2 zones are gone. Yeah, it's a no-no.
Okay.
So look, we should talk about equity, we talk about fairness, we talk about justice. When you want to bring these 3 to 4, you get to find out that you talk about zoning must take precedence.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you want to live, we've been meeting with most of them who are saying that, look, competence should be, ranking should be. If you want to leave it at that level.
But let me ask, how do you explain the present where the Right Honorable Gbajabiamila, Speaker of the House of Representatives, comes from the same place as the Vice President? So why would you be about that in the light?
There's already a precedence. There's a very bad precedence for us.
What makes it bad?
It makes it bad because I think what happened in the time of...
Anderson, now you talk competence, right?
Yes.
And you
a very cerebral leader.
Experience. So, and you talk about number of years, that is COPLEC members, ranking members. So, do we not have incompetent lawmakers, let me just put it that way, who have been
there for donkey years?
4 years?
You cannot be talking about incompetence for somebody who has been in the National Assembly for over 4 years.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
No, you shouldn't bring incompetence to it.
No, but sorry. Let me.
Have gone through steps of.
I think we are making one mistake here. We are making one mistake. Okay, please land.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Nkem talked about Gbajabiamila.
Yes,
and
a very good lawmaker, I must point out.
Vice President. I think what happened in 2019 was that very probably the party now felt that, look, there is need to compensate these people, because Ahmed Lawal came up in 2015, Femi came up in 2015 too, they didn't get it. So they have to say, okay, look, you know what, in this 2019, let's use this 2019 to compensate them, not minding, disregarding zoning. But people like us came up to us, we cried. We met them, we said, look, you are setting a very bad precedent.
It was a strictly house matters. The party had no...
it doesn't matter. The party had a choice. They would have even looked at it and said, look, for us to still maintain this our zone...
Remember, in the 8th Assembly, the party had a choice.
Of course.
But the House...
decided against...
decision.
No.
Bogara came just by a difference of about 7 votes.
So we've always had times when, especially in the House of Representatives, where they come up with their own choice.
Let's get this clear, please. It's not that I am strictly against zoning, but zoning that would sacrifice competence. If competence would be sacrificed on the altar of zoning, that is what I am against. There are regions where you go to, just like he said, you will still see people who are there who have stayed for 10 years, 5 years, but again, within the nucleus of the entire house, activities that happen there just just gathered around some individuals, the main people in the house.
Okay,
I've so seen it.
Anderson is looking at you. I'll let him land.
Okay. But I've landed.
So you can go ahead.
Well, I said, just like I said, I don't have too much against zoning, but should we be talking of more competence against zoning or zoning against competence, character? If you check out what is happening already, the entire system has been so monetized that there are people who are so brilliant, who are so intelligent, people who have achieved some measure of competence in lawmaking and legislative activities. For instance, in the Senate in America, at that time we had people like Byrd, we had people like the president. People who had spent 40 years, and you would now come just because you have zoning in mind, you want to take away all of the experience, all of what they have gathered in terms of the way they can make this place function better. Let me tell you, the legislature is actually the center, the nucleus, the bastion of democracy everywhere in the world. Yeah. It should be a people-powered place. Let the best of the place rule the entire place. That is why one of our friends who we met the other day, he was talking, he said something, he said that why he does not even talk so much about zoning remains the fact that of all the branches of the government, the arms of government, like the judiciary, the executive, anybody can just go there and begin to do minuting and sign things just because they have come from some little background, maybe from the local government system or from our state system. But it does take something of somebody who knows how the legislature functions to be able to handle what happens at the level of the legislature. Okay, let me
hold your thoughts. Anderson, you are canvassing for zoning, right? Now, you talked about the Southeast, and there's already somebody in the Southeast who said, it is my turn, it is our turn, and you look, it is trending now. But then when we look at, let's say there's going to be an influence from the party, and then we look at the votes that came in from the Southeast. How do you think this is going to play?
Okay, there's already a narrative, being played out by the South geopolitical zone, trying to say that the South have produced more votes for the APC, than the Southeast, But now, at this point in time, we shouldn't be looking at that, because why we shouldn't be looking at that? Because we're talking about equity, and we're talking about equity. We should disregard, issues like that, because we are talking about how we can assuage the people of the Southeast. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, and we have said that, look, the only way we can assuage the people of the South is because these people have cried for marginalization for a period of time. These people have cried for that. Are we part of Nigeria anymore? We are treated as if we are in our own country. We should be talking about inclusion. And talking about inclusion means that the people of Southeast geopolitical region should be carried along in the scheme of things. So that's why we've come to say, look, the best time to assuage these people is now. The best time to make them have that sense of belonging, to make them have that sense of inclusion is now. Now, that's why we are saying, look, during this Senate presidency, you can microzone to the Southeast. The idea of, when you begin to bring all those permutations of number of results that they brought, you see, you begin to hit up sentiments. Which situation where we begin to hit up sentiments of over who brought more or who brought less. We should look at carrying every region, every zone of this country along, so that at the end of the day we'll have peace. There will be national unity. Because you cannot have national unity. You cannot have that peace.
Sound understand, I'll hold your thoughts. Let me just take that as a last thought, because we are really, really running out of time.
No, but can I speak to that? 1 second.
Allow him to speak to that.
Well, I think
one sentence, please.
we're on the same page about the Southeast, but the argument that the South has brought more votes and all of that. In terms of the Senate, let me tell you something. 5 states of the Southeast have 6 senators who are coming on the platform of the ruling party. And if you try to calculate it upon their return, they have brought 40% senators return. But at the level of the South, it goes about 38%. Thank you very much.
It's been an interesting discussion on who becomes the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the National Assembly. I have this interesting gentleman with me. Anderson Osigwe has been here, and Inkem Ayata Lafia. I like that name, the combination of the House.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of the program.